Hello, beautiful bookish people. My name is Hannah, and today we're talking about fictional characters' favorite Taylor Swift song. So, I think books and Taylor Swift are the two topics I am the most informed about. So we're going to combine them and hypothesize what fictional characters' favorite Taylor Swift songs would be, their journeys, what albums, what songs they would emotionally connect to and blast at 2:30 in the morning. On that note, let's talk about Connell from Normal People. So Connell would not like Taylor Swift because he grew up in a very, I don't want to call it frat-esque environment, but he comes from a small town and he was popular. So I'm sure it was popular in high school to hate Taylor Swift. And as a result, he would just never listen to her. But then as he matured, as he evolved, as he went to college and became an English major, he had this very weird friends with benefits relationship with Marianne that even an English major couldn't put into words. So who would he turn to? Of course, Taylor Swift. So I think Connell's favorite Taylor Swift song would obviously be Death by a Thousand Cuts.
Saying goodbye is death by a thousand cuts. Flashbacks waking me up.
I was hoping, Hannah, that you would put in a clip. So thank you so much. You just read my mind right there.
It's almost like we're connected. It's crazy.
He would be dealing with a lot of emotions driving back from school, and Death by a Thousand Cuts would be the only song he would listen to on the journey back down to his hometown. He'd be looking at the green lights thinking what is the message? What do I need? It's my time, my wine, my spirit, my trust.
Trying to find a part of me it didn't take up. Gave you too much but it wasn't enough.
And he would just connect so hard to those lyrics, but he would never tell anyone about it. He might write his senior thesis on Death by a Thousand Cuts and confide in his sweet English professor, but that would be it. Yes, this one was easy peasy. This was the first one on the list. So moving on to Nikolai Lancelot. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm sure that was embarrassing.
Lancelot.
Nikolai Lancelot.
Lancelot.
So Nikolai, he's very charming, charismatic, Prince Charming-esque. Anything you want of Nikolai, he can do. He's a sailor. He's loyal. He's got your back. And if you straight up asked him at the palace what his Taylor Swift song would be, it would unironically be 22. He would hear Taylor Swift records that came out time and time again. He would hear the singles. He wouldn't go in depth in the albums. But when Red came out and 22 came out, it would be the same year that he turned 22 and he would feel a sort of emotional connection to Taylor Swift. So if you straight up asked him,
"Yo, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song?"
he would, of course, unironically sing 22 to you. He would love the line about the hipsters, but when you got to know him, you would eventually find out that he has a major folklore phase and feels almost too connected to the song Mirror Ball.
I'll show you every version of yourself tonight.
I want you to know I'm a mirror ball.
So Nikolai gives a lot of himself to other people. There's a big discussion of in King of Scars how easy it is for him to morph into things people want from him. He only shows aspects that he thinks would be approved by others, which is the essence of the song Mirror Ball. I think one day you would just walk into the palace where Nikolai lives and he would just be on the floor at 2 a.m. listening to Mirror Ball, contemplating his life decisions. Because yes, he is that melodramatic. He would still say 22 is his favorite Taylor Swift song because he doesn't want to show you how emotionally vulnerable he can be if he even mentioned Mirrorball. But that would be his inside favorite Taylor Swift song. So, thank you. You heard it here first. Nikolai is an emotionally vulnerable man who doesn't like people to manipulate his feelings. See, Gemini? Maybe. That's another video. I hated that, so we're moving on. Now, for my next one, I have thought long and hard because this character connects to me on a very emotional, spiritual, physical level. And that is, drumroll please, Gansey from the Raven Boys. I don't think Gansey would ever dislike Taylor Swift. He would just not understand her discography. That is until he would be on a weird side of Spotify trying to understand like the history of the Eagles and like the Letterman, and it would take him to this weird playlist that for some reason had Long Live on it. And he would have an emotional breakdown. He would listen to it, not know it's Taylor Swift, emotionally connect to it, think it's about him and his friends, then do so much research on Taylor Swift, find out that Speak Now, every song on the album is an open letter, find out that the one he emotionally connected to was for the fans, and then have a long TED Talk to like, maybe Adam, no, probably Noah, about how sweet that is and he wished more artists would be communicative. That's it, with their fans. Aside from like that story, I think he would just, after that song, defend Taylor Swift with his life because he would go on such a research binge on how she came up, who she is, and what she stands for, that Gansey would unironically be a Taylor Swift stan, but only for Speak Now, because he felt an emotional attachment to it.
This is a side tangent, but I also think because he discovered Taylor Swift, he would then discover Lorde and unironically listen to the song Royals sing with his full chest. We're driving Cadillacs in our dreams while driving his dad's Cadillac, and he wouldn't understand how ironic that is.
Okay, so one of the inspirations for this video is definitely Edward Cullen, because I read Midnight Sun and realized how much of an angsty little stalker vampire boy he is. He has intrusive thoughts and thinks about things a little too much and fears that anyone he would love would know no peace and die. So, transition. What would Edward Cullen listen to at 2:30 in the morning when he thought everyone was asleep, but Alice definitely had a vision about it? Peace.
The devil's in the details, but you got a friend in me.
Would it be enough if I could never give you peace?
And he would like love the lines of like, the devil's in the details, but you got a friend in me. He has such a complex with like loving Bella and feeling like he's dragging her with every seed of a pomegranate to hell because of the Hades and Persephone analogy, that like folklore would come out at like the perfect time for him. And when he heard peace, he would have an emotional breakdown, and the only one who could comfort him would either be Bella or Alice. I think that also a thing with Edward is he would not have self-awareness when liking Taylor Swift. He would love folklore so deeply that no other album could ever come close to it. He would feel like Taylor Swift spoke to him, and he would take offense because he doesn't like being that emotionally vulnerable. I also think if Bella and Edward ever took a road trip, Edward would be driving, cue up the song Peace, and unironically say, okay guys, this one really speaks to me, and then just play it. And he would make weird eye contact with Bella the entire time.
But the rain is always gonna come if you're standing with me. But I'm a fire and I'll keep your brittle heart warm. If you cascade, ocean wave blues come. All these people think love's for sure.
But I would die by your secret.
hoping that she got the message. And Bella would essentially go like, okay bro, like we're chill, I'm happy in this relationship, you don't have to subtweet me with Taylor Swift. Sorry, I love the fictionalized version I've created in my own headcanon. But yes, Edward Cullen would love the song Peace. So, moving on. So the last and final Taylor Swift story subplot that I've created in my own mind comes to us from Miss Evelyn Hugo. Now, Evelyn Hugo herself would not be the hugest fan of Taylor Swift, but Seeley would be the biggest Taylor Swift fan you have ever known.
I just want to give you a fair warning. I refer to Celia as Seeley for the entire duration of this clip. Don't worry, I'm upset at myself.
There would be a point in their relationship where Seeley would try to introduce Evelyn to Taylor Swift, and she would specifically try to use the song The Lucky One from Red to kind of use it as an avenue to say, hey look, Taylor Swift is talking about us. But Evelyn Hugo would see The Lucky One as a surface level interpretation of Hollywood. But Seeley would be so into it that, of course, Evelyn would give her a try. But during that weird point where they were broken up, Evelyn could not listen to Taylor Swift without thinking of Seeley. And eventually, when they got back together, this would be during the like folklore Evermore era. And of course, Evelyn would hear like behind the scenes stories of like possibly closeted Taylor Swift and feel sympathy towards her, how her record company wouldn't allow her to express some parts of her personality. It would be through the grapevine Evelyn would hear whisperings of that from Taylor Swift's fans and like her own like community Hollywood gossip. So she would respect Taylor Swift way more when Seeley and Evelyn got back together. And then when Evermore came out, Ivy would just break her heart. She would love to imagine placing like someone's pain into someone else's palm, and she would feel like she inspired it for sure. She would feel that Taylor Swift is speaking directly to her through the song Ivy. Tell me I'm wrong. Let's contact Taylor Jenkins Reid, tell her about this conspiracy theory, and I need to hear the results because I will bet you $2 I'm right. Evelyn Hugo would love Ivy, and like maybe one Sunday night she would like shed one tear to it. That's what I'm predicting. And that's where this video ends. Look at that transition! But thank you for indulging me and letting me talk about what Taylor Swift songs fictional characters would connect to. Let me know in the comments any other characters or songs that other people would connect to. I would love to hear your thoughts. This is literally my favorite topic, and I talk to my friends about this all the time. But on that note, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Keep reading and all that jazz. So communicative. What? So
What? Oh my gosh, what am I saying?
So communicative. That's it. Cut that. I hated that, Hannah. Can we also just take a second to say how cute I look? Stop! Oh my gosh, I burped. That was foreshadowing. But thank you so much for indulging me in my Taylor Swift fictional character conspiracy thought patterns. What did I just say?